Hello, as the kids say, we out here. I was looking, so we have our finished Cosmos cleaver. I was like, okay, what one's next, right? Like, we got a lot of options here. And I think a nice contrast to the other ones is like, those ones there's so much going on. I thought it would be fun to do this little guy, this little Bumblebee sword. It looks a little more elegant. It has more curves going on than the other one. I could imagine this handle being like a glossy, like Bumblebee kind of like butt. With the little stinger down there. That would suck to get poked with that. You're fighting somebody and they get you at the end. Copy this layer, select the sword, invert my selection, delete all the ones that I don't want, move my headphone cord, grab a sip of coffee, V for our selection, and we're gonna make this nice and big to work with. But now I'm kind of getting into a little bit of a groove, a little bit of a style going on. I have a style? Question mark. Flight of the Bumblebees starts playing. Yeah, that's old enough. We can play it. So then, the next thing I did was I drew this sword. They're attacking me. And this folder gets made yellow. For obvious reasons. This sword is pretty symmetrical, so I'm going to use a vertical symmetry tool. Line it up right in the middle here. So great to see you. You get to see the inauguration of a new blade here. This is the old Bumblebee blade we're working on. All right, I'm good. Me too. Hey, how's Blender practice going? Everett, my 3D studies are kind of stuck. Oh, dealing with some things from college and work, Okay, so you're reprioritizing, or we're putting our priorities on other things currently. I totally feel that. I always think if I was to draw a progress bar, and it would be like 3D studies progress. I always thought, and here's our timeline. And here's our skill level. It's a very technical chart. Okay. So here's our skill level, and you know what I'm doing here. Clock. If I'm spending time and I'm putting in effort, my progress is going to be like this. Like this incredibly smooth. Like day 1, I'm this good. Day 3, I'm this good. Day 10, I'm here. Day 15, day 100. Like every single time, I'm better. Every time. And what I've been grappling with a lot lately, this is a big pharma lie. What progress way more is like this. This is the Chad and Stacy Giga progress bar. It may have seemed like I've drawn this randomly, but every curve and facet of this line has been planned out. Not really. But there was one thing I kind of drew on purpose, which is you have the obvious parts. Okay, day 0, you're at a certain skill level. Day 3, you improved, you learned something. Day 4, it wasn't as good. You didn't have the sauce that day. Maybe you weren't feeling good. Maybe you had some stuff going on in your life. Maybe you were frustrated. Maybe you're seeing what you're creating in a different light. You're seeing it better than you used to. And when you see things better, it feels like a downgrade. You're not as good at it. And you make some progress, right? But another thing, and I feel like that's, everybody knows this in their head, but it's really hard to learn it in your heart. But another thing I want to point out is that sometimes we have valleys. Right here. This person was sticking with their plan, making progress, their skill level. Bing. Their skill level is going up. Had some discouraging days, stuck with it, made a huge improvement here. Right? But something even crazier can happen is sometimes you can just lose steam. And you feel it. The trick is like, oh my gosh, I feel like a failure. I'm doing worse here. I was doing so good, and I'm doing even worse than when I started. What's happening? And this is normal. I wish I understood earlier in my life that this is normal. It's okay to have weeks, months, maybe even years where you're like, you're out of the groove of something. And I think the quicker that I've been able to just accept, like, hey, I have ups and downs in this, keep sticking with it. And then you start to get your groove back in, start getting in the habit. And even when you feel like you're making really solid progress, you're just going to have big poo-poo days. When you have a big shit day, you need to get out of the inspiration mindset. I need to be inspired, super excited about this project, and I feel so good, and like, I'm gonna watch this video or watch this thing and get inspired. Inspiration is really helpful on days where you're like making progress and you're doing things, but inspiration, it's really tough. Inspiration, I've found, does not work on the big shit days. I think you need to go out of your normal inspiration mindset, which is healthy and fine. But I think you go out of that and you go into the dedication mindset. And the dedication mindset is way harder. It feels more mechanical at times. And I would describe it as you're doing something literally because you said you would. You're being a person of your word. The dedication mindset is just like a shovel when you don't feel like it, because you said you would, and you just do your best and move on, and you shovel it up, and before you know it, if you keep doing that, you're going to get out of the shit day and you're going to get back into this groove, which is that inspiration mindset. Yeah, Psychra, David Goggins, Trent K. And this is just how I approach art, especially. Oh wow, I forgot I had the symmetry mode on. So if you want to see what it's like to absolutely start sucking. So anyways, I started blasting. I was seeing the work that you and Annlyn have done on Instagram. They make me inspired, but then I realized that many times the reason why I'm not evolving is the fact that I'm not organizing properly. When I realized that, I had to make a complete change here. Viverette, that's like deep level thinking. I really like that. I would watch Kim Jung-gi videos. I would just watch him draw. And I would go, oh, I'm learning. And I was learning and I was getting inspired, but I didn't learn from him until I started drawing what he was drawing or practicing what he said. You know, there's like always this point where it's like at some point you need to just actually start doing it. And organizing is a huge part of that. They have really cool videos. One of my favorites is about Ikigai. And if you search that, a bunch of stuff will come up from other people too. But Ikigai is like this intersection, your work, your interests, what helps the world, and what fulfills you. And then there's Ikigai is in the middle. And then in these cross sections, there's like, you know, your vocation, your hobby. I think it's about scheduling your day is what it's called. there. He takes one of their employees and he asks him if there's anything he wants to add to his day, and he says, I want to have more time to work on this project of his. And then they break down his day into hour blocks. It's really fulfilling to me to be able to help people, encourage people, and kind of make my little corner of the world brighter. That makes me happy to do. So, my pleasure. The Yellowjacket. Oh my gosh. Yellowjackets are intense. There we go. Oh wow, look at this chart. Backyard bees in North America. Look at all of them. Oh my god. I thought initially it might be cool to make them more realistic like this actual animal is. But now that I have them in place, I'm thinking that having them be more like simplified like they are here, I think that actually might be the move. Nerding out about Star Trek has been my favorite thing recently. I recently started rewatching Deep Space Nine episodes. Are super fun. I watched the one where they put Worf on trial for there's a ship that uncloaks and he mistakenly thinks it's a war vessel because it was cloaked, but it actually was a passenger ship, and the whole episode is like this court case. And I thought it was really interesting because in the older Star Trek series like Next Generation, they specifically told the writers this is a futuristic utopia. Nobody fights, money doesn't matter, there's no greed, the enemies were always like other aliens or other concepts. But in Deep Space Nine, they could write characters conflicting. People were greedy. Money did matter to some of the aliens. They're on a space station with lots of different kinds of groups, and watching it now, I think it's aged so much better than the Next Generation has, just because of that fact. And at the end of that episode, you normally would think the point of the episode would just to be, oh, we're gonna get Worf out of this situation, and that'll be it. Except that didn't happen. They did get him out of the situation, and then the whole end of the episode is this super uncomfortable conversation between Sisko and Worf, and he just chastises him the whole time. And he's like, you made such a dumb decision, and you're so lucky that this happened this way. And I was like, that conversation was so interesting to me, and far more interesting than like the sitcom-y endings of the old Star Trek episodes where like nothing really bad happened. You have Gul Dukat, who is a military leader, and he is blinded by his like pompousness, but he is a tactical genius. And then you have Garak, who is he lives on the station, and for the first few seasons Annlyn, I stepped away for 20 minutes to see this. You know we were going to Star Trek. Deep Star Trek lore. Yeah, this is really everything. All the art was a ruse to get you here so I could tell you all about Star Trek. H North enters the room with the laugh. I love it. Welcome. And Garak, he is one of my favorite characters because for the first few seasons on DS9, they make you think he's going to be a B character. He is a tailor, and the conversations that he has are borderline interesting, but he's always there, and he kind of says some things that make it seem like he's a little more than he seems. And it turns out that he is a member of the Obsidian Order, and the Obsidian Order is like this, it's like their CIA, basically, where they're this super corrupt intelligence organization that operates outside of the military. So who you think is a tailor is actually, he used to be a spy. And it's so good. I mean, look at the tension here. Gosh, it's so crazy that this is like a natural pattern. It looks so freaking scary. It's like if nature could say, I will sting you. This is how it would say it. Okay. Viverette, it's nature saying incredible pain in this direction. Yeah, it's literally, yeah, it's pointing to it. It's like, do you want to mess with this? I don't think you want this heat. Oh, itchy tag alert. Oh. I don't mess with tags. Oh, I feel free. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I can't tell you how fun it is to hang out and draw it. It's really energizing. The Yellowjacket is the avatar. Stinging. Assholery. Whoa. Being yellow. Flying around at high velocity. Hi, I'm Yellowjacket, and I didn't know I was the avatar. But now, I can be a jerk whenever I want to. I find that alternating thick and thin helps. So, if you just went straight along the whole way, it's not as interesting. But if you start thin, and you make it thick, and then you went to thin, and then you go to thick, and you go to thin, it's like a more interesting shape. Or the opposite way, you could do thin to thick to thin to thick. And that's kind of what I've done here. Getting in some values now, so when I start painting next time, I have some idea. We're gonna save this because it's looking good. It's looking real good. I got a couple of card back references, and you might be wondering, Corwin, why are you grabbing card backs so often for reference? And I like them because they have really good color palettes on them. Blizzard games have just always had very vibrant colors, and they do color temperature changes, which is something I've been focusing on. And the other thing I like is that they represent materials really well. So if we're looking at these cards, look at all these great references I have. I have something that is glowing. I have crunchy, velvety leaves. I have rich wood. I have metal. It's great. Going down here, got gold, stone. You like crystal or glass over stone. If I just put up pictures of swords, I'm thinking too much about how the other artist did it. So I like to grab something that is like a cousin to what I'm doing rather than a sibling, if that makes any sense. Me neither, but I read a couple pages and I loved what I read. I flipped to page 99 of a book to get a feel for it. That's a great method. I've never thought of doing that. I always start at the beginning. I used to get pretty nervous for painting at the beginning of a painting because I didn't know where to start or how to start. And now it's like I find it so much more freeing because I know I'm going to paint over probably like all of this. So it's way more lately about getting it on the canvas, getting your shit going. Ooh, this blade's looking sharp. Morbid ordeal. Last time, a friend brought me an energy drink. I thought my heart might explode. Oh my God. 4 scoops, come on. Energy drinks they're very insidious because the shift from, oh my God, my heart is going to leap out of my chest to I need an energy drink just to get started in the morning. It's very quick. At least it was very quick for me. I used to drink so many energy drinks in college at art school. It was pretty ridiculous. Sorry if I'm quiet, just hiding at my desk. No worries at all. Your only obligation at the Compass Cult stream is to hang out. So if you're hanging out, you're good. And if I'm being quiet, it's because I'm trying to figure out how to paint this divot in a way that makes me happy. He says, I'm actually on my wireless listening to you and also ASMR. Heck yeah. I love ASMR. Shout out to Maria Gentle Whispering. Like, her voice could put me to sleep on my most stressful days. And she could be talking about nonsense. I never could get into the ASMR that is like tapping and stuff like that. That's not really for me. But people's voices I find really relaxing. I love things that are just like cozy. I love like RPGs and video games that make me feel that way. I love like tea. Drinking tea on a like a stormy night. All that kind of stuff. I'm such a sucker for it. I love it. And these wings, I'm actually going to rely on line a little more than I might normally because they're translucent and they're flat. There isn't a lot of dimension to them. And they are more stylized, I would say. They're looking way too dark, so I'm actually painting in some of the paper texture in the background over it. H North, I'm doing well. Finally sitting down after a long day. How are you? Oh, I'm doing great. I feel like every time I paint, I feel a little more like confident and like I'm having fun with it. So this has been really good. I get to hang out, get to paint. It's still an amazing temperature out here. I treated myself to some Starbucks. It's just been a good day. Pretty normal, I would say. I don't think anything super crazy has happened. I believe Bob Ross said that, right? If you don't know how to paint wings, you keep painting them until you do. I think he said that. One of his like 2000 episodes. Nothing crazy. Okay, one thing I noticed is that on this side, which is the brighter side, this black area wouldn't be darker on the brighter side than here. Make this nice and contrasty. All right. I think this is good for a session. I'm kind of... I keep repainting the same areas over and over again, and it's not changing, and that's usually a good sign that I just need to take a break from painting. Last night I found a really cool video of a Hearthstone artist, their lead concept artist, was painting a card back, and I was just blown away. They make it look so easy. It was really inspiring. I feel like I picked up a few tricks along the way, and this was one of the things, was making a little extra window for what you're working and making it small. And I know Annlyn has been telling me to do this for so long. Now I'm doing it. I'm just slow in adopting new things. So when I get into the nitty gritty like this, then it's nothing too crazy. And Lynn says, all right, I think I'll paint a little too. You convinced me. Fine. Paint with me. Paint with me. One of us. And Lynn says, fine, but what should I paint? Do like a really fun, do like a geometric frog. Yes, this is just an idea. Then do leaves around it. And then maybe a foot sticking up. And it's holding a flag. And that flag says... And then above the frog, there is a helicopter. And the helicopter is shooting its guns at a cobra. I don't know how to draw a cobra. It's not a cobra anymore. It is a giant flightless bird. All of this is in a bathtub. And it's not just any bathtub. It is a cast iron, old school bathtub. And there's a burrito on the floor. Here's the wrapper. And here's the steam. And here's the burrito ingredients. Okay. I hope this gave you some ideas. Over the years, my favorite wrestler has definitely become Ric Flair. The more I learn about him, the more I learn how other wrestlers treat him and what they think of him. He's crazy. He actually lived out all of the crazy things that other wrestlers were pretending to do. Like, he really did them. Just like stories about his partying and drinking and purchasing habits. Even their training when they were first starting. Morbid Ordeal and I were watching a little documentary about him. It was what's it called? 30 on 30 or something like that. And they would say that, like, for his training, they would get them in a stairwell and they would have them, one person would grab their legs and the other person would use their arm, and they would climb up 12 or 13 flights of stairs, and then they would carry the person down that helped them up, and then they would switch, and they would just make them do that until they collapsed. And when he was telling the story, he was saying that guys would get so tired when they were carrying you down that people were falling down the stairs. The Sims is such a relic, it's hilarious. Like, there's celebrity cameos from the 90s. That's incredible. It's like Carson Daly, like, in there. Most notable being Drew Carey. Hi, I'm Drew Carey from Whose Line Is It Anyways? Show where everything is made up and the points don't matter. And Avril Lavigne, ooh. Is it Avril Lavigne before or after she was cloned and duplicated? My favorite memory from childhood playing Sims is making Masha use her allotted computer time to farm money for me in Sims 1. And by farming, I mean having her type in the cheat that gives you $1,000 over and over and over again. She still gets triggered by it. You're like, listen, you can totally play in my game and help me out. I just need you to type in this code repeatedly. What does it do? It's just going to get us money and help us have more fun. Okay, get to typing. And like, when you're a kid, that stuff makes perfect sense to you too. You're like, I'll just tell them to do this. It's no big deal. Corwin, did you play any computer games as a kid, or mostly just NES? I played a lot of computer games as a kid. Command and Conquer, like a lot of those. Command and Conquer, Red Alert 2, Tiberian Sun. What else? Myst, Riven, Exile. A lot of SimCity for sure. A few of the Mech Warrior games. So this one, Mech Warrior 3050, then a year later playing it on the actual PC. Then playing... They had a Mercenaries expansion, and then they had the Ghost Bear expansion. Woo! Yeah, check it out. I mean, I know you're jelly. These graphics. And the design was really cool. Yeah, that one's not too bad. Ooh. Crazy. This is so crazy. I've never messed around with anything but the just main brush tool. This highlights thing. Oh my gosh, crazy. Gotta be subtle with it though, otherwise it looks really obvious where I'm putting it. Just more. All right, I think I'm calling this for tonight. This has been a good 2.5 hour painting session, and woo! All right, switching back to the camera here. Whoa. Thank you so much for hanging out at another Compass Cult session. We did a lot today. We studied the effects of forests on your heart rate. We painted some Yellowjacket inspired blades. We looked at old PC games and their incredible graphics and their incredible abilities to include vampires. Thank you so much. Annlyn, always awesome to have you. Morbid Ordeal, thank you. And we will see you next time on Thursday. Peace.